Learn how to capture text content from one HTML element and instantly replicate it inside another element using direct ID targeting. Here's my boilerplate code, and we're going to be looking at an example of how you can do direct node content copying in HTML. So, and for every item that you have or every element on your web page, think of them as an object with a label that is an ID. If you now want to copy text from a particular element and paste it into another element, you don't need a complex search party. You simply just tell JavaScript to look up the source element by its label. For instance, look at what we have here. You can see that this particular element here has class as a label. It also has ID. So if I want to copy the content of what I have here into another element, say I have another div, maybe I want to copy it from here and then put it in another place where I just simply need to do something like this. Let's say I want to copy it inside an H1 element. So what am I going to do here is just simply going to be to assign the class. I'll call it code out, and then also an ID of demo. So what have I just done now? You can see that inside my main div that I have here, you can see that my P is already inherited that space too. You can see that there's now a space in that H1. So this is how you can do direct node content copying in JavaScript. So anytime you need to copy from an element to another element, you simply just tell JavaScript to look up at the source element label, either an ID or class. Grab that the text hiding inside it, and then dump that text straight into your target element content box. So I'll go ahead and remove this, and then you can look at the example that I want to do. So in this lesson, I want to make two elements. So one is going to be the source element, and the second one is going to be the target element. So the source element is going to be where we want to copy content, and the target element is going to be where we want to paste the copied content. So let's go ahead. So I want to make the first element, which is going to be the source element, and call it H1. And inside this H1, I'm just going to put a simple text, my first page. So inside this H1, then I'm going to go ahead and add an ID. So let me call this ID. You can call it anything, but in my own case, let me call it ID 01 rather. And now I'll go ahead and make the target element. So let me call that P, where I want to copy the content that I have inside my source element. But in my target element, which is this P tag, I am not going to put this text. Instead, I'm only going to pick the ID that I have inside the source element. So I will just add an ID to this and call this one ID 02. So now that I have this, it is now time for me to move inside my script stack in order to copy from the source element into the target element. So I'll come inside the script source, the script part of my code, and call on the document.getElement method by ID. So I'm going to get the ID of the target element first, .inner HTML. And now I will pass in document.getElement by ID as well. The ID of the source element now, ID 01, .inner HTML. And now we can see that the value is already displayed on the screen. You can see my first page. What just happened? Well, congratulations, you just copied the content of the source element into the target element. You can see that the first element contained this content, my first page. So we copied this and pasted it inside the P element successfully. The reason why they are not of the same size is that in hierarchy, the size of an H1 element is not the same as that of a P tag. To prove that to you, if I change this to H1 as well, you see what is going to happen. Now you can see that the text size are right now, but that's not what I want to do. So I'll stick with the P and just show us that this is how you can copy from a source element to a target element. So what we just have here, which is this document.getElement by ID, is that we just instruct the browser to scan the documents page and then locate the precise elements, tag with the ID attributes of ID01. Then the inner.html itself, which is what we have here, acts as a reader. So it reaches inside our H1, which is the source element, and extract its nested text as a clean text string. So coming back here to document.getElement by ID, ID02. So this acts as a writer. So it targets the empty paragraph tag and then completely replaces whatever was inside it with the text string that it just read from the H1. So while the inner.html is incredibly common, it handles text and raw HTML tag because it's something that you see often and often in JavaScript. So if you only want to make plain text safely without passing any accidental HTML code, it is safer to use another method called the text content. But in our own case, because we are not just passing a plain text, we stick with the document.getElement by ID, as you can see on the screen. So a few things about what we just did is that the document.getElement by ID method isolates a specific element instantly anywhere on the web page by using its unique ID attribute. So the inner.html property can be used as both a reader to fetch text and a writer to change text, as you can see. So we use this to fetch and we use this to write into this that we use to fetch. So this is how you can manipulate the HTML DOM and do a direct node content copying.